So, gonna review my bike and all of the things I have on it, and just talk a little bit about, I guess, my experience with biking and this bike and the products and stuff. So, like many of you, maybe got a bike or started using your bike more during COVID because of all the time you spent at home and spare time you now have from maybe working from home or just being forced to be at home. But so I got some Big League Chew watermelon. Get some. That's good. So the bike I got is the Trek Domani AL3. It says AL3. I think that means aluminum. It's like the third from the bottom in an aluminum frame. And I was going to get the AL2, but this is just what they had in stock at the local bike store when I went there. The color was maybe a little more than I wanted to spend, but I got it anyway because they said that anything else would take a lot longer to get here, like 2 to 3 months. When I bought it, I right away put clip pedals on it and got clip shoes. You go in there. I got the pedals that can go both ways. You could just wear regular shoes for this side, and then you can wear your clip pedals on this side. And I guess I'll go up from there. This little thing here, this is a place where you can attach some other things. So I put another bottle holder down here to hold this, which is just like a canister that you, see if I can do this, that you can put, whatever you want in it. So I put maintenance things in there, like I put some tools in here, some Allen wrenches. I got a spare tube, some rags to just wipe the grease off when if I'm out riding and I've got to change a tire, because there's just bike grease can get all over you. Then you don't want to get it all over the rest of your bike, your handlebars. And then inside here I have this, which is something that screws on top of a CO2 cartridge. So I got a CO2 cartridge here. You screw this on top. You put this to fill up your tires after if you have to change your tire if you get a flat, which happened to me within 1 month of starting to ride a bike. I just pulled off to the side to adjust my seat post. I put a piece of tape there so I kind of know where it is and where I'm adjusting from. And pulled in the grass, and I just drove right over top of a thorn. I just saw it right here, and I went to pull it out, and I heard psst, and then I had a flat. So luckily I was able to fix it. So I'll just screw that top back on, put it back in there, and that's where those tools go. And I got 2 more bottle holders. I only use another bottle holder on the side here if I'm going to go for a much longer ride. And on that one, you kind of put it in from the side. If you got one that pulled up from the top, you just couldn't pull it up. It would hit this right away. So I got this one that just pulls out from the side. Doesn't go in very easy, but then you just kind of swap out. You take that one and you put it to the front one and you just swap them around. And I got this bottle because it seemed like it would have it has some amount of insulation, not much, really, hardly at all, but some amount. And it's easier to squeeze than others. You don't have to squeeze real hard to get the water just to shoot out, and then you can lock it closed or open. And it has this little lip, like right here, for you to kind of get your teeth onto, so you can kind of like lock your mouth onto it, while you're riding to get a drink. Then, at the same time, while I was there, I said, "What's this little thing?" There was something just plugging in there. This wasn't on there. And they said, "Well, that's something called Duotrap. It's Bontrager brand. This is a Trek bike. Like Bontrager and Trek are essentially one and the same now. Trek bought out Bontrager, so they make accessories and parts specific for Trek bikes, and you can put them on other bikes too, but like this you could only put on a Trek bike. And this is a cadence sensor, so it's something like built in to the bike to monitor the movement of that little magnet there. This one has Shimano Sora components on it, which aren't like amazing, but they're pretty good. And the way I was really told to view these, because when you go, maybe sometimes when you go to buy something, you want to get the best, but the best is pretty expensive pretty quick. But what they said at the bike store is these, say the lower end Shimano components, used not that long ago, just a few years or 5 years ago or whatever, it used to be the top end components. So just because today you might get the mid or low end components doesn't mean they're not still really good, and not that long ago were the best. Like this is an aluminum frame, it's not carbon, but it's still very light for an aluminum frame. This is like, the weight maybe a carbon frame would have been when they started. Maybe not, but you get my idea. But actually the front fork of this aluminum bike is carbon. Yeah. Carbon fiber. For some reason they make the fork carbon. You can kind of tell it sounds a little plasticky. Well, I guess it all does sound that way, but only the fork is carbon. I'll get some more Big League Chew. Kind of loses its flavor fast. Okay, I'm gonna do this one here. Again. I did it. So then I immediately got a bag for the back here too. I really kind of went Bontrager on everything. Trek and Bontrager seem to just go really well together, so that's what I did. I like the insides of their bags too because they're this bright, visible yellow-green. Helps you see what's in there almost. So up here is a little flap where you can put some money and like a car keys or something else, or your wallet. And down here you can put some other stuff. Right now in here is just this multi-tool, which, surprise again, is Bontrager. And although I have tools in there, I like to quickly reach for this little tool here to like just adjust my seat post, or to adjust all these attachments or tighten them, things like that. This thing is just really tiny, but still really easy to use. And they made it really tiny because look at what they did. They shaved off, they got these as small as they could, but they shaved off the side of the biggest one. So even though the sides are cut off, it still fits in and locks in really solidly to my through axle bolt. I think this is the right size. This one is too big. Yeah, actually that one's... Oh, it's not the right size for that, but get the idea. And this one here is kind of cool. This one is like embedded into that one. So it's maybe not the perfect way. You wouldn't want to, do all your work this way, but if you want a tiny tool to take along with you, this has been perfect. I really looked at a lot of different tools on Amazon and like Crank Brothers that I almost bought, but they all had these chain breaker tools, and all the videos are like, oh, this chain breaker, look at their chain breaker tool is the best. But then I was talking to a lot of people I know that bike a lot, like thousands of miles a year, and have biked for years and years. And I said, so how often have you had to use a chain breaker tool, or have you had a problem with your chain? And like the 3 people I've asked who have biked enough miles to be I feel like a wide enough range of people, just thousands and thousands of miles, they do triathlons and everything. All 3 said never, absolutely never have had to do anything. So I stopped putting any emphasis on these cool chain breakers in the way that one company would have made theirs versus another, and just got that little tiny Bontrager one because of how small it is, how nice and convenient it is, and how little it weighs. Then, because for some reason it's not cool or something, I don't know, to have a kickstand on your road bike. None of them have one installed, and a lot of people with road bikes just don't have one. But it was a real pain for the first month, just trying to figure out where to lean my bike up against, and then it would roll, and I didn't like leaning it against things, scratching things, or scratching my bike. So I said, you know what, I'm just going to put one on here. So I think this one is actually a Bontrager brand kickstand. You can adjust the length of this by pushing this button in, and it kind of goes in it and out, and then you just kind of attach it here, just snug that up. I didn't tighten it a lot because you could tighten these things to the point that I feel like you could crush the bars or do some kind of damage to them. So I have it tight, but not too tight. And then just in case, even though I have that CO2 cartridge in there, if I need to use a hand pump, like if that runs out, or I don't know, some kind of mistake, I have this old hand pump that I've had for quite a while that would be a real pain to have to use. I feel like you'd have to pump that like 100 times to inflate a tire, but it didn't take much to keep it on the bike. It's not heavy, so I keep it on there. And recently, well, I ordered this Bontrager bag. It's a new style bag they have that if you're watching this, you probably won't be able to find for a while until they finally come back in stock, or they make more of them. I ordered this like 2 months ago. I think they call it a speed bag. Because I was tired of reaching back here and trying to reach for like a bar or something if I went on a longer ride and I was really hungry. I didn't feel like stopping because I was just having fun riding, nice and leisurely. Just kind of eat a bar while I ride. I didn't like reaching back there. And so I wanted to put it here. And also I thought, if I've got my phone here in this holder and it's running out of juice, I could put a battery pack in here and run a charging cord right to my phone. So again, this is Bontrager 2, so it has that nice bright inside green. What the heck is this? Spare bolts. I didn't even remember seeing that in there. I don't know what that's for. Well, I'll just leave it in there for now. So other people would put their, bars, and these are sunglasses, or if it starts to rain, you could take your phone out of there, put it in here, wherever else you might be able to put it. And it's really slim. I've rode with it only 4 times now, and I don't hit my legs on it because it's a little bit, it's firm but flexible, but it's firm enough that it stays its shape. And I like this zipper because if you had gloves on, it's just, or anything, it's just easy to grab. You know, just grab it, it stays that bigger shape. And you can see that when you zip it up, if you got your phone in there, or it's raining, or you need to put your wallet or your keys in your phone, that this should help keep the water out. And I got this one too because it doesn't. The other Bontrager one has attachment, I think a strap going around here and here, but the one up here was just like, wouldn't go tight. It was just like a loose spandex strap. So it was just going to wobble all over here. But this one bolts through. On my particular bike, there are bolts up there. And so you can see here, I can pull up this part, and it bolts onto my frame. So it makes it very, very secure. It really doesn't want to wobble at all. So I really like that, so it wouldn't hit my legs and really annoy me. And I would just eventually take it off. And I just kept this loose, though anyway, so it wouldn't rub on there, or try turning the bag when I turn my handlebars, because it doesn't really need it because the bolts keep it really firm. Yeah, this has a blender accessory, blender mount, like I knew what they were talking about. Like, I've got no clue what you're saying. It's this little plastic thing that goes in between your stem. There's the Bontrager stems allow this thing to go in there so that you can attach a mount. They have various different style mounts, like for a GoPro or for lights or something, that go in here and here. So you can have 2 at the same time. So one thing I've got that I ended up getting pretty quickly because I hated riding on the road. Just felt like I hated the traffic around me, were these Bontrager Lights. So that one just clips in there. And I got this back one that clips down here at the bottom. Charges and clips in there. But I didn't buy them for a while because I thought the battery life on them was like, I don't know, 6 or 8 hours. And I knew I would just always forget. Like, if you reach back and click this thing on, I would forget to turn it off when I got back, and it would be drained every single time, and I'd be going out without lights anyways because they'd be drained. But and then they have different modes. They have a steady mode. Let's see, okay, I think that's nighttime flash, or no, that's daytime flash, so very bright. And the Bontrager Lights have this like disruptive, where they claim it's more of a disruptive pattern. It's not just flashing, but it flash, and then triple flash to try to get the attention of someone like a car. Then you hit it again, then that's nighttime flash, so you're not blinding people at night if they're behind you. Daytime steady, nighttime steady, then back to nighttime flash, then hold it down, turn it off. But if you're riding and you're up here and it's the daytime, you can't tell which mode you're on. You're like, wait, did I click 2 times successfully, or 3, or what mode am I on? Then all of a sudden, next time I was at the bike store, I saw this little thing. It's a wireless transmitter. So you can pair these things, which use something called, it's not Bluetooth, it's called ANT Plus to communicate with it. So you hit this button, or this button, or this button, or this button, and it's just like hitting the button on top of the light. Or hit the one in the middle, and it turns them both on. Hit this one, click, boom. My front light turned on, daytime flash, and my back one turned on, daytime flash. If I want to turn them both off, I just hold this down, boom, they both turn off. So when I hop onto the road, I turn it on. When I hop off the road, I turn it off. And then now my batteries last, a few weeks instead of, a day or 2. Because I know I would forget to turn them off. Or I just wouldn't use them because I wouldn't know what mode it's in. And another thing I got right away is this bike mount. Where is it mounted? Okay, it's mounted here right now onto this Aero bar, but it came with a mount to just mount directly to this bar. And I like this one because it could hold any size phone. Anyone that rides it could put a different phone on, not that anyone else is, but I won't have to, like if I get a different iPhone or a bigger iPhone or a smaller one, you just pull this and it gets tighter and just pulls around it more, or you can loosen it up to make it wider. So it'll fit any size phone. And you take it off and you could put it in landscape, or the other way, because this side is shorter than that side, so if you need it to be further away from your bars or closer, you can change that up. So I feel like it's the most versatile one that I found. And the brand is Bike Case. I got a different mount from Bike Case that it didn't come with, because there wasn't room on my bar now after these Aero Bars. So I mounted it to the Aero Bar. So I went to their website and found that different mount. Hard to do with one hand. I can't tell which way's the right way. Push down, turn. There we go. And it's just got this little strap here to tighten it and loosen it. But you never have to touch that again after it's sized for your phone. You just kind of pull on this bungee cord and pull your phone out. And it holds it super tight. If you've never had a road bike or thinking about getting a road bike, I didn't have one before. I did not know that this is how you changed gears. You push the whole thing on this side to go to a lower gear, and you push this one to go to a higher gear, and then the opposite here. This is for your bigger gears, and I'm not good with the bike terminology, so this would this one would go to a bigger gear, and this one would downshift in your bigger gears. So while I was riding, I don't have great knees, which is why I got into biking too. Even just going for a long walk, it's just, boring also. But biking was even easier on my knees than walking. But I would be, with my hands down here, trying to get comfortable, then you put them up here for a little bit while you're riding, then you put them, here while you're riding, and I didn't love any of it so much. In fact, I would just kind of end up resting my arms on the bar and then just kind of leaning way down like this. And then I saw some people on the trail with these, or something that looks like it, and I learned that they're called Aero Bars. And calling around, people would say, oh, if you're doing triathlons, they would call them tri-bars too, because you don't need them unless you're doing triathlons. And it's just people that have been in biking for so long that they think, they just don't understand maybe the common consumer anymore. And I thought, you know what, stop calling them tri-bars. I don't need an Aero bar. I want a relaxing bar. Call them relaxing bar, because I adjusted these so this would be straight out to give me a wide, put my elbows out wide and nice and comfortable. And I like how these quote unquote Aero bars go straight up like that, because it makes a much more relaxing, straight on grip. There, I'm right on top of it, and here, I grip it right there, and I can do the other one with the other arm. And with other Aero bars, the people are way in, and then their hands going forward like that to grip the bar. But this one is way up, which is really comfortable. Then I just got this high visibility Bontrager color bike tape and put it on there. And that's Aero Bar. Aero Bar is a profile design brand. Actually, I didn't buy it. It was given to me by a friend. I think it's called, the exact one is Century. This is Profile Design Century, I think. So that's about it. Something else I did was, I went to a bike fitter. I called our local Trek store and said, can I come in for a bike fitting? Because I'm not sure if I have the seat adjusted right, or if I need a different length of stem, or if my handlebar, I don't know what that's called, the length of the pedal right here. I know this is a stem. I don't know if I did a different length of stem. So it ended up being a physical therapist here who was an avid bicyclist who helps with bike fitting. So I went to him, and he ended up moving my seat way forward, which I didn't think he would do because everyone else had recommended mine go way back. And then he had an adjustable stem. You could change this length on the one he had. You would never use it permanently, it's just for fitting. So the one that this bike came with was a 90 millimeter long. From here to the center of the bar was 90 millimeters, and we kept messing around with the adjustable one and end up settling on 60, and I almost can't remember, a 60 millimeter bar. So I ordered this from Bontrager, actually, I think this is Focus. Yeah, this is Bontrager brand. And put that on there and moved my seat forward, and then the bike just felt a lot better for my shape and size and length of arms and legs. So that was worthwhile. It cost a lot to do it, to go to a bike fitter. And he didn't really adjust that much. I had my seat height correct and everything. He just kind of, and I was already going to buy a shorter stem. He just kind of helped reinforce it. So the only thing he really did was end up moving my seat forward, which I thought was not going to be the case, and I was not doing it at all. But ultimately, it's helped my knees feel better while I ride. And that was the biggest reason I did go to the bike fitter, because I didn't want to, while I'm riding for exercise, but I didn't want to make my knees and my hips hurt more and essentially cause more damage to myself by putting stress and pressure on the wrong things, by riding, with a wrong, ill-fitting bike. I like the seat. This bike seat has never given me problems. This is the one it came with, and I think a lot of bicyclists maybe just assume, at least what I'm hearing is they just assume that the one it comes with is junk, so they end up replacing it right away. I bet they end up replacing their seat with something that's not even as good. They just assume that what came with must be bad, because I've liked the seat, and I think that even if it hurts right away, it's going to, because you're not used to sitting on something that shape or that narrow, and you need it to be narrow so that it gets out of the way of your legs going up and down. If you have it too big, it's just not going to be helpful, and it might even hurt you more. You just may think that it's not. And I put bike tape here too to know where my seat was. Or not bike tape, blue tape here to know where my seat was initially. So I think that's about it for my Trek bike review and other various product reviews. There's nothing else I think that I want on it. I was going to, well, actually I did buy the Bontrager fenders because I went out biking in the rain one day. I just wanted to, I thought it'd be cool, and then I ended up being all muddy. My whole back was muddy from it flying up here, and so I thought I need fenders on this. But it was just one too many things. I've already got a lot of stuff on this thing. Adding the fenders to it was just like, it was too much. It already kind of looks like a lot. And who knows what I'll do in the future. Who knows if I'll take any of it off or keep it on, or if I do put fenders on, I don't know. We'll see. So, hope you enjoyed it. And oh, wait, before I forget, there's something else to note. There is a website. Well, okay. So the road tires, you can go to a much higher pressure. You can pump these tires up to 110 psi. My car tires are like 55 psi, recommended operating at 55 pounds per square inch. These are 110 pounds per square inch. And then a friend of mine said, here's this website where these smart people have calculated that you probably need to be riding, that you should be riding at a much lower pressure. So you input your bike weight, your weight, and the kind of surfaces you're riding on, and it ended up calculating that I should have my tires at 65 psi, not 110, or even 90, but 65. Reason being is that based on your weight, there's only so much pressure you need in your tires to counter your weight per inch of contact. And the more firm and the more rigid your tires are, imagine that they were actually made of plastic, it would be harder to ride. Well, let's say they were still grippy. But it would be harder to ride. You'd feel every bump, and when you're riding, you would go up and down more. You'd feel everything. So if you're going on a more rough surface, gravelly surface, they suggest you deflate your tire more, and if you're on a more firm, nice paved surface, you can keep the pressure up a little bit more, but still not 110. Still with my surface, like a nice paved trail, I recommend 65 psi. And that's because, again, you only need so much pressure to counter the weight of yourself and your bike, but then instead of bumping over and riding over bumps, your tire kind of rides over them and kind of rolls over the bump in the road instead of going over the bump. It kind of rolls over it and goes smoothly. So you end up going forward more smoothly. And what their article found through lots of testing was that people ended up riding faster. You were actually riding faster with a much lower PSI in your tires because you were rolling through bumps and not over bumps, with just enough PSI to support your bike's weight and your weight. So I'll include that link below because I thought that was pretty cool. Okay. Something else is, so it's October, and there have already been some really cold days, and I'm thinking that I might ask for a indoor trainer for Christmas. I don't know if I'll ride it or if that's just another indoor exercise piece of equipment mistake that I'll make that'll never get used. But there's an app you could have on your phone or your computer, and then you can stream it to a TV called Zwift. And then you get a trainer. There's one called Wahoo. So this trainer called Wahoo connects with Bluetooth to the app, and when you start pedaling on your bike, turns the wheel on your trainer, and that trainer also, depending on the map on the app, like if you're going up a hill on the app, it'll put more pressure on your back wheel to simulate you going up a hill, and then it'll decrease it if you're going downhill. That's pretty neat. A friend of mine has one. And you start pedaling on your bike, and then the guy on the screen, like the cartoon looking digital game character on the screen, starts pedaling, and you compete against yourself, your previous times, or other friends that have it, or people from around the world. It seems like it is the app that everyone uses for indoor training around the world. Maybe not the, but one of the top 3 that people use, or just to get exercise, not necessarily train. I don't want to train. I just hopefully do it for fun and for exercise, because when I go out onto the bike trail, I see people, I see 1/3 of the people, maybe 1/4 of the people in their 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. I see them all the time in their 70s, sometimes in their 80s, on bikes, with the gear on, going biking, and they're staying healthy. So I definitely know that this is the activity to be in for, the long term, and to invest in, and invest in myself. It's kind of getting warm in here because it's going to be actually a warm day today and not cold like it's been. Something else I almost completely forgot was my helmet. I did just have, let's see, I'll show you here. This helmet I got from Target, which is it's a fine helmet. It's a Schwinn helmet. But then I went on, I started seeing, here's what it was. I wanted to be more visible, and I happened to notice this helmet. Again, it's this Bontrager high visibility color. It's not yellow, it's not green, it's like a really eye-catching combination of both. And that was pretty important to me, to be visible to traffic so I don't get hit, because out of the few people I know that have ride bike a lot, like 2 of them are like, oh yeah, I've been hit by a car. Like, it's something that just happens. So I definitely don't want that to happen to me, that's why I've got the lights and the helmet. That's why I put that colored tape on my bars too. Because getting hit by a car is not good for your health, which is the whole, having fun and being more healthy is the point of this. That kind of reminds me why I also got into this. I put on a little bit of COVID weight. So midway through COVID is when I got the bike and decided I needed to, I downloaded a calorie counting app called Lose It on your iPhone, called Lose It, and started biking, and then lost 15 pounds in a couple months. So now I'm just kind of not using the app anymore. I just kind of use the app to log everything. I logged everything. If I ate a handful of sunflower seeds or a handful of peanuts, I logged it. I just want to kind of reestablish my knowledge of like food and what you put in your mouth and how many calories are in it and how much you should eat of anything, really. And that's really helped. So I don't count my calories anymore, just because I've sort of gained that knowledge over doing it, really religiously for 2 months. And yep. So in this helmet too, I learned something, that there's something called MIPS technology. So a lot of Bontrager helmets will now have their own technology called wave cell. But before wave cell, the amazing technology was called MIPS. I think it's an acronym, but it's also the name of the company that makes it. And anyway, it's just the inside of this helmet is this very thin piece of plastic. And the idea is that if you hit your head, you fall off your bike and you hit your head, that your head then would rotate. You wouldn't get pulled by the surface and jerk your head or snap your neck or increase the impact. That this movement of your head still having the helmet on but still then moving independent of the helmet will limit the impact and help you survive and not have a concussion or any other damage. Oh, let me get the other really cool things about this helmet. What really attracted me to this helmet was its ability to integrate lights onto the helmet. So there's this thing that it came with, and you go like this. This kind of goes right there. There's a little piece of like fuzzy softness there. You go there, and boom. And it's this strong magnet that's right here and in the helmet that just locks it into place. And now that is not coming off. And then you can take your front light. See, this is my front light. And clip it onto there. And you can tighten that. And boom. And you got your front light like that. And then something I read when I first started getting into biking was that you want to get your lights as high as possible, because that gets the most notice from the car traffic. Boom. You can put that one there, and this back thing comes off too. But you don't really have to take it off. You could just take the light off. and then you got the rear light there. And so while both of these are on your head, I can still control them right here. I don't have to reach up to my head or anything. Just boom, turn that on. And then I got these lights. This thing right on the back of my head. And that is really getting noticed by traffic. I can tell when a car drives by me now, they're even further away from me when they drive by me. And then this front one, I really use. It'd be nice, like tonight I'm going to go on a Taco Red. I'm going to come back when it's darker. I'll put that on steady. And I'll have my light, pointing a little bit higher and down at the trail for when I'm riding back in the dark. And I could turn them off. So I'm holding that down. Boom. They're both off. I love that about this thing. It's so cool. All right. Now, I keep thinking I've talked about everything. That's all I can think of. Oh, great. Wait. Let me get my shoes. Okay. When I was there getting the bike, I knew it would... It was quite a bit of sticker shock, so I just knew that it would really take something for me to come back in and spend more money on shoes and stuff. So I was like, at the time, I just said, okay, just pile it all in there. Let's look at shoes. Let's look at, the bottle holders and bottles and everything, and bags. And I hadn't been into biking for like 5 years, and this was new to me. This is a company called BOA. These are Bontrager biking shoes, but this is called BOA. You just put your foot in there. Actually, let me do it right now. Put my foot in there, and it's just loose. Kind of hard to do with one hand. Pull back the tongue, and then you just push that and tighten it. And it just tightens so nicely. It feels so comfortable. And when you're riding, if you need to loosen it, you're like, oh, I got them too tight or too loose, you just notch it back or notch it forward. You can just do that while you're riding. Then when you're done, just pull that and take the shoe off like you got Velcro shoes practically. Slip-on shoes. It's so cool. And that reminds me of something else, is I haven't adjusted my clips at all. I didn't tighten them. So my shoes clip in and out really like a biker, like a really avid biker would probably call it sloppy, and he'd probably tighten them up, but I kind of like it because I can kick out of my clips a lot more easily, and I end up falling with my bike, and I don't think that's a problem, but maybe I don't know. Okay, I think that's it. Bye.